My dude, you don't know what you're talking about. And it's fine. I get it. We try to be polite. We try to be nice. But there are so many young liberals who sit here and say, the corporate press told me that these people are bad and the machine state government has decreed it by pen. So I don't care what crime they committed. I don't care what the jury said. I don't care who was on the jury. Enrique Tarrio, who was not there, should be in prison for 2 decades. Tell me this now. Why is Enrique Tarrio in prison?
Stop! He's already dead.
Hey, before I get into this video, shout out Tim Pool. You're the best. But also, Tim will be taking off till January 6th. I will be live streaming not only in my normal 1 o'clock Eastern time slot on both Quartercast and on Rumble, but I will be live streaming at 8 Eastern, 7 Central on each night to give you something to watch. If you're looking for something to watch, I won't be streaming on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, or New Year's Eve, but every other day I'll have a show for you with Luke Rodkowski, with Hannah Claire, with Melanie Mack, and everybody on my regular show. So subscribe to Quartercast down below or follow me on Rumble and tune in. So let's get into the video. What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering. I hope you're having an absolutely wonderful day. I don't know if you saw this last night, but it was perhaps the most uncomfortable moment I've ever experienced. I mean, I've heard of secondhand embarrassment, but I had never really felt it in the way that I did when I saw a 1 million subscriber leftist appear on Tim Pool's Timcast IRL and just get completely obliterated. Now, a lot of people thought, oh, Tim was too rough on him. I disagree. This is an individual with 1 million subscribers on YouTube who goes by Luke Beasley and regularly spreads wild misinformation and anti-Republican, anti-right-wing rhetoric, the same kind of rhetoric that leads, idiots to do stupid things. So this individual 100% does not need or deserve to be dealt with kid gloves. By the way, huge shout out to metapcs.com. I know it's probably too late to get them for Christmas, but if you're in the market for a new computer, promo code QUARTERING, one word, well, not only will you save on your computer, but it's the computer I use. It's a computer we use in the office. It's a laptop I use. You can custom build. They have financing. They have ready to order computers and things like that. So check out Meta PCs. Now let's take a little look at Luke Beasley. Congratulations on reaching 1 million subscribers at such a young age and apparently such a low IQ. But what's interesting is you see, I remember this phase of my thumbnails. He clearly uses Canva and he only has access to the yellow arrow and yellow circle. Nearly every single one of his thumbnails have a yellow circle and a yellow arrow in it. But he is a fake intellectual. I am not, for example, I admit, I talk very openly. I am not like a super duper intelligent geopolitical person. People watch me for generalized takes or, pop culture, technology, anti-censorship takes, stuff like that. I try not to wade into waters that, would be above my breathing area. This kid does it all the time and is wild. It's interesting because he literally copies, he uses the exact same titling and thumbnails as people like Tim and myself use and all this stuff. Apparently, again, sensationalist, liar, selective edit. Most of his subscribers come from his moronic shorts. That's why a lot of his long form videos don't actually do well. It's a lot of disingenuous editing. But again, he is following the model. He's growing. Good for him. But that's exactly why I laugh deeply at what happened to him last night on Timcast IRL. Now, I'm not going to play the whole 10-minute clip. Here's one smaller clip that I warn you, you're going to want to, again, I say all of that stuff to say this. You're going to want to feel bad for this kid, but understand that he willingly and for profit lies about you every single day. Lies about Trump, lies about basically everything political. He's a part of this new wave babyface Democratic baby influencers like Harry Sisson and stuff. He knows nothing but to parrot basic Democratic talking points. But look at this.
You have.
No,
right.
I
so
haven't.
no. Stop. You don't know anything about these January 6 cases. You don't know why these people are in jail. You don't know that a man is in Brooklyn right now for 3 years without charge or trial. And when Donald Trump says these people have been held for too long, you say, no, Trump is wrong. Keep them locked up. That's fucking fascist.
Oh yeah, Bart, language alert. I forgot. Yeah, Timmy was off the rails last night.
Dude, you have sitting.
Look at him. He just looks at the ground.
You've been sitting here with no knowledge of the specifics of some of these cases. There is a man in Brooklyn right now. I'm going to say it again. No charges whatsoever brought. And he's been in jail for 3 fucking years. For you to sit there and say it is good that he remains locked up is fascism. That is
correct.
Saying the hierarchical system of the courts and the government is just, and the process is all that matters. And I am saying perhaps 3 years is enough. Because I actually have moral logic and an understanding of these cases. Hence, my position on January 6th has always been the people who have attacked police must go to prison. But
I agree too. If they hurt anybody or whatever, but they should have got charges that were, whatever, that matched the crime, so to speak. You broke a window. That's a damaging property. That's not 6 years in federal prison.
3 years is a fucking long time for assault on an officer. We have seen people in the
Yes,
far
it
left,
is.
notably when they were firebombing shit all across Minnesota, 33 people murdered. And how many criminal charges do we get for this? When they firebombed a police station and forced the police to evacuate. On May 29th, 2020, when thousands of far leftists firebombed the White House grounds and set fire to St. John's Church and injured 100 police officers, how many fucking people went to prison for 3 years?
The answer is 0, as far as I can tell.
Many of them who never showed up on that day are in prison for 20 years. Enrique Tarrio wasn't even in D.C. on January 6th. And you are saying that man his only crime was, quote, don't leave. That's his only crime. You think he should be in prison for 20 years because you're a fascist. You don't care what the facts are. You don't care if this is unjust. You only care that the machine state has decreed
he's
you are
sunning
not
him
to be
so
locked
bad.
up. And this is the problem I have with the left. They don't know the facts. They don't care about the facts. They view morality as a blanket government stroke of the pen, and every person, regardless of their crime, should be in prison for
looks
decades.
like he's peeing.
I reject it outright. The people who fought cops should go to prison. They did. It's been 3 years. But when you've got people who are on misdemeanor charges for having walked into a building at 4 p.m. after the riot, and I know some of these people, they walked into a building for 2 minutes and walked out, and they got 18 months for that. I don't see you defending the innocent people who walked onto a public grass at a public building after a riot had been completed. You don't know. You don't care. You've taken a tribal position, and people are suffering because of it. Now you say that Donald Trump saying the injustice that we've seen warrants commutation or pardons. You say that means he's advocating for violence. This is the ultimate problem. Then you cite a press release from Maryland saying, but the right's more violent. There is a distinction between a white supremacist as a right-wing group and a run-of-the-mill Christian conservative who showed up on that day not to protest. Let's talk about Brandon Strzok. He never went in the building. He was on the other side of the building. There was a permitted protest. He walked up the stairs and he was yelling. They put this guy in prison. There is Owen Schroyer, who was at a permitted rally, who was yelling death to communists. They put him in prison and specifically cited his speech. My dude, you don't know what you're talking about. And it's fine. I get it. We try to be polite. We try to be nice. But there are so many young liberals who sit here and say, the corporate press told me that these people are bad and the machine state.
What's great is, I mean, this is one of my favorite clips. Tim Pool cusses out, give me some data, stop squinting at me. And
you have.
No,
right.
I
So
haven't.
no. Stop. You don't know. And it's fine. I get it. We try to be polite. We try to be nice. But there are so many young liberals who sit here and say, the corporate press told me that these people are bad and the machine state government has decreed it by pen. So I don't care what crime they committed. I don't care what the jury said. I don't care who was on the jury. Enrique Tarrio, who was not there, should be in prison for 2 decades. Tell me this now. Why is Enrique Tarrio in prison?
Yeah, so they uncovered with him his plot to overthrow the government.
Enrique Tarrio?
Yeah, and his organization.
His plot.
Who's they? Give me some
prosecutors.
Give me some fucking data. Stop squinting at me and saying the prosecutors did a thing.
Stop squinting at me. Oh my God, this kid. Absolutely. I mean, and again, I don't feel bad for him because he is happy that these people are in prison.
The month that they should get. I do respect the fact that they were prosecuted in a court of law, and I don't think Trump, to send a message to his base that what happened on January 6th was good, which is why he would do such a pardon, should be pardoning folks who were violent. Or
I think 3 years is long enough.
Yeah, and that's a wrong stance, but okay.
How is it wrong?
I just explained it to you.
No.
3 years in prison for, fighting is plenty of time.
You didn't. You said the court process should play out the way it is. My opinion on the amount of time should be served for a crime is not just wrong because you like courts.
No, I get that.
You need to explain
I'm saying
why the time frame I'm asserting should be longer than 3 years.
No, I'm saying the default, you have to have overwhelming, compelling evidence that someone has been wronged.
Who dresses these kids, by the way? Button that shirt up. You look like a dork.
To justify a president stepping in and saying, I'm subverting the justice system outcome. Does that...
Joe Biden pardoned 6,000 people. Does this kid have a problem with that?
Do you agree with that premise?
No.
That's immoral.
So you're making a fascist argument.
A fascist argument?
A fascist argument?
You are making the fascist argument that the hierarchical structure of government is just and should be upheld regardless.
Why? Okay, I'm not going to ask that. This is...
Right, and so the system we have is...
I'm just not loving, and this is a way of celebrating violence.
No, what?
Trump is celebrating those as far as a pardon, and in his...
There isn't anybody happier on the stage than this man right now, who usually draws Tim's ire. He's like, oh, thank God, Tim's... I like that. I forget his name. He's a very nice guy. I met him in person. I like him, but Tim definitely does use him as a whipping boy every once in a while. There's nobody happier than him right now.
On January 6th, largely that they believe the election was stolen.
You could just be like, hey, that's bad. You don't have to keep going.
I've called for their arrest and prosecution. Like this is not a shock to my audience.
My reporting is responsible for the arrest of a couple of January 6th
My point is
rioters.
that if you've got somebody on a misdemeanor charge who's been held without trial, a pardon makes perfect sense, unless you're a fascist.
Correct.
And the system is just. So it's like Benjamin Franklin, who said it is better that 100 guilty persons escape than 1 innocent person suffer. You've taken the Otto von Bismarck approach of it is better that 10 innocent people suffer than 1 guilty person escape.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes, he has.
You have.
No,
right?
I
So
haven't.
No. Stop. You don't know anything about these January.
Okay, so that's that. That we saw that part.
The building. He was on the other side of the building. There was a permitted protest.
Evidence of communications, a memo that he crafted and sent to his organization,
saying what?
That detailed each institution of government that they were going to try to overthrow. Then just days later, his organization is at the Capitol,
and they did none of it.
I don't think we can even pull up Enrique Tarrio.
I'm not quite sure that there's any evidence of that.
The defendant, Dominic Pizzola, on a citizen charge and a significant milestone of the Justice Department, which is...
I'm going to at all acknowledge that you just blew up over something that I was absolutely citing fairly.
I don't think you cited it fairly.
I think people should be prosecuted for engaging in plans to overthrow our government. That's kind of...
That's a very loose definition of plans to overthrow the government.
Also, by the way, what about all those Free Palestine guys? Would you be a proponent of them?
This as thoughtfully as possible, not trying to grandstand. Of course, often for very justifiable reasons, prosecutors will try to make an example of someone who, for example, tried to overthrow the government to prevent the peaceful transfer of power. I see why such a thing,
personally, I reject
categorized as sedition,
to overthrow the government,
would be uniquely bad to prosecutors and political in that this all involved politics, right? And thus,
I'm sorry, I have to say this.
Sent.
The Wikipedia article making those claims is not citing any actual proof that they said those things.
Oops. And again, I'm not a super geopolitical expert, but that was brutal. That's why Tim's show is as popular as it is. I hope you watch my show at 1 Eastern on both on Rumble and on my Quartercast YouTube channel. I will also be live streaming while Tim is off. Just as a reminder, while Tim Pool is off, If you're looking for your Timcast IRL, other than Christmas Day and Christmas and New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, I will be off. But the rest of the days, I'll be streaming at his 8 o'clock Eastern time slot to give you something to watch. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.